Recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for including HJ Res 34 in today's markup. And I also want to thank Representatives Peters, Lamb, and all the members who the clerk's name just read for joining me in spearheading this important effort. Climate change is an existential threat to our planet. And what climate scientists around the world are telling us is if we don't act fast, it could soon be too late to stave off the worst effects of this crisis. One of the most important things we can do right now is to reduce the amount of methane that's being released into our atmosphere. And that's exactly what HJ Res 34 does. It restores the methane waste prevention requirements that were put into place by the Obama administration in 2016. The methane is a highly potent greenhouse gas, as we all know. In fact, when it's released into the atmosphere, it becomes about 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide. Methane is often accompanied by other volatile organic compounds and pollutants that cause respiratory damage, birth defects, and even cancer. And in 2018, the oil and gas industry was the largest industrial source of methane pollution in the United States. When the Trump administration rolled back the 2016 regulations, which required the companies to reduce methane emissions from their sites, they put both the public health and our environment at risk. And if allowed to stand, the Trump administration's rule would increase our nation's methane emissions by nearly 1.6 million tons by 2025. Let me say this again. If the Trump rule stands, it's going to increase the methane emissions by nearly 1.6 million tons in just a few years. The previous administration's actions in rolling back these rules were so egregious that even major natural gas producers and consumers, the very businesses that might benefit the most from these rollbacks, spoke out against them and in support of methane regulation, like the rules that we're seeking to restore today. And Mr. Chairman, I have several letters that and statements by some of the nation's biggest oil and gas companies in support of methane regulation, including Exxon, Occidental Petroleum, BP, Shell, and Equinor, as well as the Edison Electric Institute, which represents an industry that accounts for about 1/3 of the nation's demand for natural gas. All of these companies oppose the Trump rollback. And the reason they do is because they understand what so many of us on this panel know and what so many people across the country have come to understand. If we're going to get serious about ending the climate crisis, we have to get serious about preventing methane waste and pollution in our atmosphere. And Mr. Chairman, I'd ask unanimous consent to put into the record letters from Equinor, from BP, and also a compendium of energy companies supporting federal methane regulations that has been provided to the minority.
We have those letters, is what you're saying. So without objections, so ordered.
Thank you so much. HRES 34 will undo the previous administration's dangerous rollback of our nation's methane standards and restore the EPA's methane waste prevention requirements that will better help protect the health and resources of the American people. And again, I want to thank you for considering this important legislation as part of today's markup and yield back the balance of my time.